SpaceX, the biggest IPO in history, and GCZ investors are right in the middle of it. Joining me in the studio is Mehdi Fichtali, who's the founder and CEO of FinaMaze, means first AI-powered digital wealth manager, and he's also a member of MFTA. Mehdi, welcome to Wall Street MENA.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Of course. Mehdi, SpaceX IPO now is been one of the most actually talked about market events also of this year. What is actually driving all of this investor interest to it?
It's a very good question, and it is typically a narrative versus fundamental story. So what's driving it? It's first the scarcity by design. If you look at it, the floating is only 5%, which is quite unusual for such mega IPO. Second, 30% was reserved for retail, which is also quite high. So basically, there is this dynamic that actually leverages on Elon Musk's personal aura and personal halo, in sense that he attracts and makes all the people who invest attracted to his personality, but also to his vision and to his very well successful life as an entrepreneur, since he has been successful in several areas. And somehow, a little bit deep in all those investors, there is the little boy who once looked at the sky and said, I want to be there. And Elon Musk, for the first time, is given to the retail the opportunity to participate in such a dream. So definitely these are elements that helps this trend.
Yeah, it tells a story, definitely. Do you think now, like going into the next, maybe second week and the third week of it, do you think the bubble has burst?
I wouldn't call it a bubble. It's quite typical for a mega IPO that it will, at the beginning, live an increase of its stock share for a while, and then, technically speaking, you will have some people who the first money who wants to leverage and to capture this very quick upside. You have also some protection that were put in place, and technically, these two optional trades involve selling of the stock, and also there are two external events. There's one external event that pushed down the stock is the Fed meeting. As we know, it was quite encouraging. So the economy quite encouraging with nice job creations, and which led the Fed to consider a potential hike by the end of this year. So it happened, I would say, at the wrong time. And also, in parallel, SpaceX mentioned that it will be launching a $20 or $25 billion bond, which also came as a negative news to the stockholders.
So it affected, for sure. Are investors now paying for what SpaceX is today, or for what it could be? Maybe in the future?
Definitely, when you look at the numbers, the total revenues of SpaceX is a little bit less than $20 billion. So the IPO and the valuation is at 100 times this figure. This is a huge, of course. So definitely nobody will invest in SpaceX for what it is today. But it is applied to an optionality of seeing SpaceX, particularly through Starlink, as being the utility of the future. We are talking about having internet all over the world to Starlink, and some others potentially, but they are way ahead of any potential competition. One, and second, also all these AI data centers that could orbit around the planet. And who knows, we could be looking at lunar or Martian landing or launches that could be powered by this company. So all in all, definitely whoever buy this stock will buy it for what would be the future. Saying this, a lot of people are aware of it, and they know that there is a big rush into it from the retail, and they are buying it because they believe that the halo and the aura of Musk will still entertain high valuations for this stock, and they are going into it because of that. So the clever investor is the one who is aware of why is he investing that much into this story. And also, I'm talking here about the short-term investors who will be clever enough to understand when to sell, when this hype could potentially go down. And at the current level, so it came in at 135, move up until 220 or 225, and then it's down around 145, 155. At those levels, I will not be worried, but if it goes below 135, that's definitely a bearish trend.
You said like investors would know when exactly to buy or when exactly to sell. And let me ask you also, what should the investor look for here, like launch revenue, Starlink, you mentioned that now, and Starlink is growing a lot, as you can see, or like cash flow.
Yes, all these elements are fundamental and should be followed by any investor who wants to look at it from the fundamental basis. And at the end of the day, the fundamentals will always have a weight on the valuation of the company. But also understand the dream behind the SpaceX and to see all this passion about it. Also, it's also to time the sentiment of the market. So one should work on both these legs, fundamental and the aura of the stock.
Yeah, and the aura of Musk, as you mentioned it as well. Let's turn back actually to our region. In Saudi Arabia's PIF and MGX and the UAE both hold major stakes in SpaceX and also in OpenAI on Anthropic as well. Do you think the Gulf now is becoming the silent power behind Silicon Valley?
So definitely, it puts its money where its mouth is, and what they are willing to do is indeed to diversify from the old economy, and the petrodollars or the oil is also an economy that the region wants to somehow get free from and diversify into other sectors internationally. And these edge technologies, space, AI, are those that will be the infrastructure of the future. So definitely there is a very strong interest, I would say, not only economic and financial, but also a political interest, a political vision that pushes these countries to indeed be at the forefront of all these new technologies. Now, are they a real power? Well, it depends. As you know, they don't necessarily have the control in all these investments. And when it comes to SpaceX, Elon Musk has still today 82% of controlling power of the control on the company. But at the same time, they know how to play it quite cleverly. What we like about MFTA, what we like about GCC play, is that somehow they trade their capital for relocalization. So they are willing to put money into these new technologies, but to have some of these data centers built here in the region. You remember a couple of years ago, we had one, for the first time, an astronaut was Emirati, was going to space. So they don't want to be just a passive investor. They want to have a piece of the action, and they want it to be here within their territories.
Yeah, of course. I mean, UAE went a long way now with space, and if anyone here, they can go to the Museum of the Future and see all of that. And I recommend that to anyone coming to Dubai. Back now to GCC. Let's talk about GCC sovereign wealth funds. They're not just buying into SpaceX. I think MGX alone has a $100 billion war chest for AI, and PIF is funding its own AI champion, Humane. Is the Gulf one of the biggest funders now of the global tech boom? I know we heard a lot about the AI boom and the funding of it, but you see it's like two sectors now, like tech and AI.
Yes, you are right. And the Gulf wants to diversify, right? So they are putting their chips on all these new technologies, which will very likely be the backbone of the growth of tomorrow. And this will give them a good diversification. They are doing this not only because they want to invest, but also because they want to capture some of the fundamentals and the infrastructure of this growth. And as I mentioned earlier, they have a strong interest in localizing all their assets or on the investments, somehow bringing technology to their sovereign land.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your time, Mehdi. I enjoyed talking to you today.
My pleasure. Same here.
Thank you.